Hello, my name's Lindsay O'Dell. I'm Director of the Graduate School at the Open University. I'm here today with some of our international students who'll be talking about their experiences of coming to the university to study for their research degree and some tips that they'll have for new international students joining us later in the year. So thank you. First question, can you tell us a little bit about your background, your culture, and where you're from? Abiola first.
Hi, my name is Abiola George. I'm from Nigeria. It's interesting that thinking about my culture, we Nigerians, research says that we are one in four Black people that you meet as Nigerian, and so we're everywhere. And so you find that there's some sort of assimilation uh, that you find is easy because when you come to a place, you meet someone who is from where you're from, who is able to then help you to settle down and sort of almost like the cultural shock is lessened, as it were. And so it's one of the interesting things about being Nigerian abroad.
Thank you. Praveen.
I am from India, Bangalore. So here I started in the year 2019, and I'm pursuing my second year PhD in Engineering and Innovation Department. My research background is about polymer composites. It's about finding a residual stress using a contour method. So basically, contour method is used to find the residual stress. That means to assess the failure structures. Yeah, I'm quite happy to join this Open University and excited to continue my research. Thank you.
Thank you. Carlos.
Hi, my name is Carlos. I'm an international student, specifically an European Union student. I'm from Portugal. Culturally, I wouldn't say that it is that different from the UK, but there are obviously some specificities. But then again, you would find them even across different regions in Portugal. And I'm based at the Open University Business School.
That's great. Thank you. So the first area we're going to look at is your impressions of the University of Milton Keynes. So what were your impressions of the Open University in Milton Keynes before you came to study, and were they accurate?
So the Open University, as I've always known it, because we have one back in Nigeria, is just like a little building somewhere with students off campus. And so I wasn't quite sure in my mind that I was coming to a big physical campus. And so I think that was my first surprise shock that there was quite a big campus. That was the Open University. And even though there weren't any undergraduate students on campus, there were postgraduate students on campus, and it was vibrant and alive. And, it didn't feel different from being in a quote unquote traditional type university. And so that was like, I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. What about your impressions of Milton Keynes, Abiola?
Coming to the UK, it's not my first time in the UK. I studied many years ago. My first degree was from the University of Reading, and I've been to Cardiff and also lived in London. And I find that different places in the UK have sort of different vibes. And it was interesting coming to Milton Keynes because it felt very, very young, very it's like things like something that was just starting to open up, let me put it like that. And I found that people were nice. I could talk to people and they wouldn't sort of just scurry off like they would in London, which is quite helpful trying to find my way to the campus from the station and all of that. And also that it was just so beautiful and green. And the campus, I remember that I spent the first 6 months cataloging just pictures of beautiful things that I was seeing on campus when I came to Milton Keynes, and the same thing when I go for walks around the city.
Thank you. Praveen.
Yeah, at the first impression, I had thought it's just a distance education. Then Later, I came to know that it is a specific research institute as well, um, with limited number of PhD students in the campus. So, and uh, and the main use of this is like the professors and supervisors, they could mainly focus on PhD students since they are not involved in any teaching, direct teaching in campus.
That's great, thank you. Carlos?
Well, my first impressions of the Open University campus, I went there for the interview when I applied for the PhD. I remember thinking that compared to other campus in the UK, it was very quiet. Well, that's due to the fact that there are no undergraduates, which can be good also. It's very quiet. It's big. It's big. It's a big campus, so it took me some time to find my way around it, but eventually you do. So just so that you don't get surprised at the beginning, it's normal. But apart from that, I think it's a campus like very green, as Abiola said. It's very green, which is lovely, actually.
That's great, thank you. I think you've all to some degree answered the next question, but I'll ask it anyway. What surprised you about life in Milton Keynes or life in the UK? Did you face any challenges, and if so, how did you overcome them?
My first and maybe the major challenge was I had to travel with family this time because I have two young children, and my husband. They all came with me. And coming to the Open University, I think the biggest challenge, we have an awesome intranet with lots of information on it, but you don't get access to the intranet until you register. And so I wasn't sure. I think finding the right accommodation, about schools for so many things that that meant that I didn't get stuck in immediately because I had to settle those things. However, I found out later that even though I could not log into the university intranet, there's quite a vibrant Open University Students Association website with lots of helpful information on that. And so I'd say that was my first challenge, but very quickly, by just asking for help, it was quickly sorted out, and I was able to get stuck in to the reason why I was here in the first place.
Thank you. Praveen?
Milton Keynes surprised me by its serene, calm, and meditative environment. And being an artist, I always surprised by its lot of greenery landscapes, and especially lot of lakes, Caldicot Lake and Villan Lake, and medieval abbeys and Georgian houses, which finds me which feels me a lot of exquisite, perfect environment for me to go out and then spend some time to do some painting. Yeah, overall, I find it very ideal location around the Open University to spend some refreshing time during my leisure time. And about the challenge is I did face a problem in accommodation, but then when I came to know about a notice board in Open University, it was quite easy to get a nearest location to the campus.
Excellent, thank you. Carlos?
I was already living in the UK when I started my PhD at the Open University in London, and I remained there for 2 years. So I just moved to Milton Keynes at the beginning of my third year. It's, being in London and being from Portugal's second city, Porto, I remember thinking that Milton Keynes was quiet, and personally for me, too quiet. But that is fine. Some people prefer it, and at some moments it was also good. That peaceful environment. It's very green. It has some beautiful lakes, as someone said. And well, if you prefer a little bit more of action on weekends, it's just 35 minutes from London, so it's perfect.
Thank you. So, Carlos, did you face any challenges when you first arrived?
Well, a PhD is a different degree. I had done my bachelor's to master's, and there are always challenges. I think that it's good to be aware that it implies some effort, and in that sense, obviously there were challenges, intellectual challenges to start, then, but that is something that you solve by speaking about that with your supervisors, with other students, and building a network where you can speak about all these issues. And then you move on, you progress.
Thank you. How did you get settled into the community? So where you lived and also in terms of your research community?
That's a very good question, Lindsay. Talking about settling into the community, when I came in, there were two PhD students that were already in the office that I was given. Somebody that arrived 2 months before me, and one was just finishing up. And between the two of them, they helped me with finding the markets, the thrift stores for the furniture, and stuff that we really practically needed, but would have been too expensive to buy anywhere. And so that was like a tremendous, tremendous help to me. Concerning the research, it was very, I had decided that I needed to be proactive because it wasn't clear who was a student and who wasn't. And so I just went around introducing myself to everyone. I walked into, instead of sending emails, I would find the office and I would go there and I would show my face and I'll say, hello, my name is Abiola. I'm new here. This is what I need. And I found that because I did that, I received a lot of help very quickly. And I think it's important to have that sort of mindset, not to wait for information to come to you or to send emails when you can walk across the corridor. I mean, that is when we can get back to being in the same building. But just make sure that you're introducing yourself to people, and also if there's anything going, any events, attend and speak up, introduce yourself so people get to know your face, they know what you're doing. And so it's easier for them to know how to help you. And I found this has really, really been beneficial to me, settling into the research community and Milton Keynes as a community.
Excellent. Thank you. Praveen.
So for me, I took some time in the beginning to get settled in Milton Keynes. And so if anyone who starts and who feel bit away from home, I feel it is obvious to feel or taking time to get settled in new place, new location, where you find a different culture. So I feel like get started with hanging around with your department friends and try to extract your hobbies, not to feel boredom, and join any sports club. I did join to a cricket club where I found a lot of Indians, and I started playing in during weekend. I found it very useful. Also, since this UK is a lot of diverse culture, I see even I found many temples as well here. Lots of Hindu temples, and then there is a Sikh temple in Milton Keynes. So overall, try to explore during your free time, not to panic when you first arrive. Um, and tips to the international students, I would say, open a bank account immediately when you come here, get a SIM card, so that you could access the internet and navigation when you travel around the Milton Keynes, and get a bike because the transportation you might find a bit difficult. So getting a bike would be very helpful to travel around and explore the Milton Keynes.
So Carlos, how did you get settled into the community? So in terms of where you were living and also research community.
Okay, Lindsay, in terms of accommodation, as I said, my first 2 years, I spent my 2 years in London because I was already living there. And then at the beginning of my third year, I moved into Milton Keynes. In my case, it was easier, obviously, because I already had a network. I had friends there who helped me with this process. In terms of the research community, my advice, based on my experience, would be at the beginning, when you start your PhD, try to attend as many events as possible. As time goes by, you will start naturally selecting more, but at the beginning, I think it's important because it's the only way to know what interests you, and you will meet different people, fellow PhD students from your own faculty and from other faculties, and it's how you start making friends, which I would say it's really important to support you along this journey.
Excellent. Thank you. I think you've all started to give the answers to the final set of questions, which is about tips for international students, which is absolutely fine, but we'll ask it as a separate question. Students, it would be really helpful to know your tips for any new international students. So tips for before they arrive and also for as they start to get settled here.
So tips for before you arrive in the UK: accommodation, accommodation, accommodation. It's very important to be able to secure a place, for at least for the first week or so while you acclimatize, and while you decide, visit different letting agents to see what's available. Look on the internet, like I've said, as soon as you register. But accommodation is important to keep in mind, because especially if, like me, you're traveling with family. I'll tell a funny story. We stayed at the Adventurers Village when we came to Milton Keynes, which was interesting because there was an amusement park right next there. And so while I was going around looking, for to sort us out and to register and everything, I didn't have to worry about childcare because they were out playing with the dinosaurs and on the slides, which was, and I found that people that I then got to meet when didn't realize there was such a place there. But it was good for us for the week that we stayed in terms of doubling as something to amuse the children while I went to do what I needed to do. So accommodation is important. Like Praveen has said also, you need to start looking at getting communication sorted, and a bank account. The thing with bank accounts though is, as an international student, there's restrictions to the kind of bank accounts that you can run in the UK. So you need to be mindful of that. Most you would be able to open a cash account with most banks, and with some a full account will then come later. So just be mindful of that, while you're thinking of before you arrive. While you arrive in Milton Keynes, like I've said, ask for help. The graduate school, the student association, the useful resources, there are people waiting to help you to settle down at the university. Attend as many of the events as you like. Like Carlos has said, you don't know what will suit you until you see and then you decide. So I always say give everything a shot the first time, and you'll be amazed at the people that you meet. Also, you don't have to only um, link up with fellow students. It's the rich relationships that also can be developed with staff members, as well. So be open to the experience, and also meeting people from different cultures, doing eating different types of food. It's an experience that you need to be open to enjoying fully, in addition to the PhD.
Thank you. Praveen.
So the moment when you come here, make sure the location, as Abiola said, make sure where you are going, and get a bank account immediately once you come here, so that you no need to worry about the new currency here, and make sure you get a bank account immediately. There are few banks where you could um, get debit cards immediately, so try to explore. Suppose Metro Bank was quite easy for me to get immediate debit card, and get SIM card as well, and rail card to travel around UK with a discounted price for international students. I mean, for general students. Um, Also get a bike to travel around. It would be helpful to explore and join health clubs, sports clubs. I did join to Indian cricket clubs, where I found very useful joining, and um, uh, and yeah, I started exploring myself different locations um, through my hobby painting. Um, so I have to say that try to extract your hobby during this time. When you come first time, not to be panic. It takes some time, obviously, and get settled and try to interact with your departmental friends, and don't hesitate to ask help.
Thank you. Carlos.
I highlight this point, meeting people from other faculties, because that the only way to do it is really by attending these events or some hobbies that you may find at the Open University. For instance, I remember that when I moved to Milton Keynes, I joined the Film Society, which is very interesting because I love cinema. I think that as time goes by, you start to be more selective about the events you want to attend, even because you will need more time to progress with your PhD. But as I said at the beginning, give a try to everything. I think it's also important to speak to your supervisors, not just events at the Open University, but also attending events outside the Open University, seminars, workshops. That's how you start to build your network. And that is very important, not just for the progression of your PhD, but if, for instance, you want to be an academic for your future. And that starts now with the PhD. For me, at least, it was really important. And during the process, I've made very good friends, which is also very good. And also as an European student, and now I'm speaking particularly to those of you who are European students, probably you will have a different experience from my own, because now the UK is moving out of the European Union, and this will have an impact on your overall experience in the UK. But if I may give you an advice, for me, emotionally, it was difficult. It was very difficult, but it's not something that you cannot overcome with the support of friends.
So this is why we're doing this film, is to help international students feel that they have a place here. And so from my perspective, it's really great that they can watch this film and see people who may or may not be like them in various different ways, who may have made similar journeys, face similar issues, and that's really important, that we help people feel at home in the UK. Any tips about managing in this really weird year? So just have a little think, and then I'll come to you in order. If you can't think of anything, it's fine. You've done really well, and I've really enjoyed the conversation. But if you do, that would be really helpful to put in as well. Okay, so Abiola.
I think for me, it'll be the same thing I've said before. The Open University Student Association has a good website. And with everyone trying to put activities online, meetups online. I know the graduate school was very successful with the Tuesday drop-ins. It used to be in person, but then even when it went online, it was still well attended. It was still really good because it was important for people to be able to touch base with other students. It's especially now, and even if it's just to check in to say, "Hey, how you doing?" It would be my immediate response to that, to check out the students association websites to see what groups are meeting online, and just to plug into some of those, and speak up if you need help. Speak up, always ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. I say if you sign to ask for help is a sign of strength, because the PhD itself is hard enough not to have to cope with all these other things. So please, I say, plug into groups, networks of people, and always ask for help when you need it.
Excellent, thank you. Praveen.
During this pandemic, whoever international students coming here, they're mostly working with the literature review for the first year. So for some department or for some laboratory, they might not be necessary to come to the campus, and some students they might need. Based on their research topic, they could decide themselves and then choose to move here immediately. And also at this time, UK is doing better, I feel. The infection rates are reduced and the death rates are very much reduced comparatively Eastern countries. So moving here would not be a bad idea.
So moving on to Carlos.
When I started my PhD at the Open University, I had the opportunity to attend different seminars and workshops organized by the graduate school. And this was, as I said before, a good opportunity to learn more and also to meet new people. You will not have this opportunity to do it physically but there will be the opportunity to do it online. This is also good because sometimes we don't have the possibility to attend something due to time limitations, and now that will no longer be an issue. Uh, Also, not just the events that are organized by the graduate school. Now you also have the opportunity to attend webinars that are happening everywhere in the world, and try to make the most out of it, because I remember that when I started attending these seminars, at the beginning, it is a little bit scary to be, you know, in the presence of all these people that you have read their papers, their books, and now you have the opportunity to start building this network online. And so when soon, we hope, you start going to attending them physically, it will be easier for you because you already have a previous knowledge of these people.
Okay, anything else that you want to mention?
Well, now with the pandemic, these are trying times to all of us. So it's absolutely normal if every now and then you feel a little bit overwhelmed with all of this. It happens to all of us. What is important to be aware is that we all feel the same in different moments, and there are resources. Speak to your supervisors. And also, there are resources available at the graduate school. Just don't feel that there are no other options. We are a community not just to share the good things, but also to share the less good things.
That's great. Thank you. Abiola.
Some advice that I have about accommodation: if you have the option, you're traveling alone, choose shared accommodation. I think you'd find, if you're not alone, it doesn't matter if it's with a student or somebody working, make sure they're verified, and choose them through reputable websites like the OU Grad School website, or a reputable letting agent. The shared accommodation is fine. It's good to always have someone else that even if you're not friendly, and chatty, but there's someone else, that there's a physical human being there, and that goes to help a lot as well. Also, you don't have to live exactly walking distance to the university. The further out you move into the city, the more vibrant it is. And if you choose to live closer to the train station, for instance, the buses, the networks of buses to the university, everywhere is 10 minutes away. I'd always say the furthest place in Milton Keynes is at most 15 minutes drive away. So you're always near the university anyway. And also, like, I think it was Praveen that said, if you can afford to get a bicycle, you would be getting exercise, and you'd be also saving quite a lot of money on transportation around Milton Keynes. And there'll be plenty of places to go on your bike.
Excellent. Lovely. Thank you so much, everyone. So that was great. I thought they were really good tips, really nice discussion, and I think will be really useful for the new students. So thank you so much.